What was it like photographing your dad nude?
Okay, so the work is called No Human Being is Illegal in All Our Glory. So I'm not a photographer. I work with photographers. I get people who are great with photography. The truth is I did not take that picture and I wasn't in the room.
Oh, okay.
And in fact, during the whole process of doing the collage on his body, the people who were working with me, my collaborators in the workshop, they protected me from ever seeing him naked.
What role do you think the artist has in society, and then what role do you want your work to have in society?
To my work and its role, I hope that my work is part of the movements for justice across various registers in various parts of the way our culture operates. So I hope to be making a contribution. I'm so heartened by how outraged young people are by encountering discrimination. Well, you know what I think really sparks me is hope a bit. Like there's so much injustice. It isn't just the fact of injustice that makes me do my work. It's when I can see a way to undermine the injustice or the scaffolds that support that injustice. For instance, a lot of my work is about the Catholic Church, which is a purveyor of injustice in many ways, and a purveyor of misogyny and of homophobia, and indeed of the stratification of rich and poor. Sometimes you really do need money to make something enormous happen. And when I haven't got any money at all, that's when I resort to collage, actually, because you can make collage out of rubbish. Like, I've gone fancy now because, galleries collect my work now and they're like, what kind of paper is this on? Which has made me go, oh, special handmade French paper. But my works are still made out of discarded materials, and who knows how long they will last. So I would say that the main material that I work with is the discussions between people, the ways we understand things. So that's the actual substance.
Can you elaborate more on that? I know you've just answered some of it, but elaborate more on why you do what you do, why your artwork looks the way it does.
So with that, I work with photographers to take images of the collage, and musicians. Working with musicians is so fun. I mean, because music, adding a sound element to your work just makes it shift dimensions, makes it time-based, makes it take up space in a really different way. It affects the brain in a different way. So working with music is just magnificent.
So Deborah, it is written of you, Kelly is both a sensitive and a politically staunch person. Kelly works with subtle and subversive provocation, drawing on legacies of German Dada, particularly that of Hannah Hoch. Talk to me more about that.
So I'm really very keen on the Dadaists. People sometimes tell me they think my work is surreal, but I don't think that at all. It is symbolist. I don't think that my work fits into the ongoing surrealist canon, which is so often this simple juxtaposition of unlike things in a fairly brainless way, or random. So my work's not at all random. I'm really trying to build up an intensity of intention with symbolic materials, which of course are political and seek to articulate certain kinds of lines of power. Hannah Hoch and the Dadaists were a bit like us. They were people who were, as they began and started trying to make their work, they were being ruled by forces in the world, as well as just the simple fact of governments who were leading the world to war. And like us, they were those people who could feel a war coming. I mean, the wars that are going to descend on us will be different probably to a world war. But I mean, we have the coronavirus now, but we have a war on refugees. We have a war on the environment. We have criminal government inaction around the oncoming climate crisis. So there are strong parallels, I think, between those 100 years, between them acting together to articulate the insanity of the world and to talk back to it in quite political ways, not just to mirror it with other absurdity, but to actually engage with the politics of the time. So, and to attempt to reveal the animus, the kind of soul of the political catastrophe that was coming to their generation.
Why do you question traditional notions of a female figure or body in art?
Okay, so to me the way that women are constructed in art, is particularly the very long history of white men's art, which is all I was taught as a schoolgirl and at university, is a kind of representation of a woman's body and spirit and intellect, which is convenient to a project of the ongoing leadership of men to the exclusion of everybody else. So that's pretty interesting that those women, or the representation of those women, exists in order to support men's rule over women. So, you know, why not fuck with that? And there's so much of that material. So I started finding these thrown away art books, like literally on the side of the road. And they're the art books of the history of white men's art. And so, you know, I told you I'm keen on using thrown away things. This is so abandoned, this material, and supports racist and misogynist worldviews and indeed world building. I thought this would be pretty interesting material to mess around with. When I started, it was really like when you make your Barbie dolls have sex. I was really just trying to see if I could get those characters to do things that they weren't really allowed to do in their own images. And part of what I did was start putting them together because they're all alone in the images. They have no solidarity between women. And I'm very interested in collectivity and not having people just be by themselves, gaslit by patriarchy that seeks to damage their psyche and their capacities to act in the world and to be human beings. So, yeah, you know, burn that shit down.
So, the second part of the question, how does that formulate your own image of the female figure in your own practice?
Well, this is really an ongoing project to keep formulating it. Not only is it an ongoing project, but it's, to me, not a singular project, but one that will take many hands. So a lot of people have to do this work for it to, you know, for us to be able to build an archive powerful enough to cast a shadow over the old archive, you know, to actually influence the material that we have at hand and through which our imaginary image of the female possibility is constructed. You know, this is really collective work.
Awesome. That's a wrap. That's enough.